Cycle Show, brought to you by ChainReactionCycles.com. This is the most prized item in sport, and we have two of them on this week's Cycle Show. Also coming up, Rob Hales endures the daily commute to road test the latest fold-up bikes. Anna Glowinski competes in an unlikely former Olympic sport, and Rob is back on the track to race the biggest wheel in the business. Plus, we've got our regular cycle sprint challenge. So the Olympics is gone, but certainly not forgotten, and especially not when we have a couple of Olympic medalists on the Cycle Show couch this week. Lizzie Armitstead won Britain's first medal of the entire Games with a brilliant ride in the women's road race. Danny King was part of the incredible women's team pursuit, which set 6 new world records on the way to gold. Well-deserved applause, girls. What's it been like? A pretty hurly-burly time, I imagine, Lizzie.
Yeah, I haven't stopped really since race day, so it's been very, very busy, but I'm trying to enjoy every minute while I can.
Yeah, has it been enjoyable, all the fuss?
It has. I think it started to get really, genuinely enjoyable when I got home to friends and family and spent time with them.
And Danny, you've been all over the papers at meeting all sorts of people like Naomi Campbell and Ronnie Wood of the Rolling Stones, which, probably for a track cyclist was unheard of. What's it like, mixing with A-listers?
It was really crazy, really. I walked in and I was a bit starstruck, but they were all really genuine and made me feel like the star of the night. So yeah, it's been crazy, but I've enjoyed it.
And does that side of it make it feel like it's all been worthwhile? You now know why you've been training like mad for the last couple of years?
Yeah, like Lizzie said, I think once you go home, that's when the genuine sort of happiness comes from, when you meet the people that have supported you all the way. And that was amazing. I had an amazing homecoming in my hometown of Hamble, so yeah, it's been really nice. Yeah,
and you had a great one as well in Otley, didn't you, Lizzie? You had an open-top bus parade, and your greatest fan cycling in behind.
Yeah, Grandma. Yeah, it was raining, absolutely pouring down, so I didn't think many people had turned up, but it was packed. Otley was packed out, and Grandma was there with a "I'm Lizzie Armitstead's Grandma" t-shirt on, so it was a good night.
What do you do with the medals? I mean, they're the prized possession, and I know they've caused a great stir around the cafe here today. I mean, they're obviously very valuable. Do you keep them with you, or do you put them in the bank, or what do you do with them?
Well, I've got mine with me today, but yeah, I haven't really thought about where I'm going to put it.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think my parents will decide where it's going.
Where's yours going to go, Lizzie?
Certainly not with my parents. They'd lose it. It'll be, I don't know, maybe I'll mount it or something with a nice photo, but it'll be somewhere special. I haven't decided yet.
Your silver in the road race was the first British winner of the entire Games. Were you aware that there was this huge, massive expectation that was building, and you really had to deliver, didn't you?
Not at all. I was in my own bubble, really. I didn't even think about what other events. I didn't watch the opening ceremony. I ignored all Olympic press. To me, it was just about focusing on that race that could have been any other race. So to find out I was the first medal was a surprise, but didn't mean anything to me, really. It was just,
Obviously a very special few weeks for you, Danny. I mean, it wasn't just the performance of your team in the final, but throughout the 6 world records in the 6 races on the bounce. Just incredible. I mean, talk about peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
What was the secret?
It was just, we get so much support from British cycling. It was just amazing, and I think where me, Laura and Joanna are so close as friends, we come together on the track and almost ride as one rather than 3 individuals. So yeah, we're so young and we're always improving on the bike. We train really hard, so I guess, that's the secret.
You're what, 21?
Yeah.
21, so world champion, Olympic champion, world record holder. I mean, where do you go from here? Mars?
It's mad, really. I
try
don't know
to conquer
how
the planets?
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to top that, really, but I love riding my bike, so I'm just going to carry on and give the road a go as well. Obviously, my main aim will be the track, but I'd like to have a go on the road, so yeah.
I presume, Lizzie, when you look, I mean, you are a road cyclist at the moment, you were involved in the track programme. Do you envy at all the structure and the setups that are in place through Team GB and the track programme? Because obviously it's a fairly chaotic time for you coming up now and a little bit of uncertainty. Tell us what that's like.
Yeah, I think obviously as a professional road rider, you kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? You're dependent on your sponsors, whereas with the track programme, you're dependent on your federation, which is often a lot more stable. But I don't really miss the structure of the track programme. That's kind of why I love road cycling and why I chose road cycling, because of the freedom and the independence that it gives me. So, yeah, I miss the security of it, but I don't miss the kind of programme as such.
Yeah, you're a free spirit.
Yeah, I guess so.
The flip side of that is that, you know, it's almost like you're living season to season in a way, and you've got, you know, your team is basically finishing at the end of this season. I mean, what are your plans for next year? I suppose you just don't know, and does that not worry you that everything's up in the air?
It does, but this has happened to me for the last 3 years on the go, so maybe it's my fault. I'm used to it, and there's absolutely no point in me stressing out about it. You know, the best thing I can do is go on and win races and do a good World Championships, and I'm sure a team will come around. Or, I mean, it would be great if our team that we have now, the structure of our team, could carry on. We're looking for a new sponsor, and I'm hopeful that one might pop up. Yeah.
Do you think that that's maybe testament to the fact that women's cycling still has a bit to go in terms of getting the same coverage and publicity maybe as the men?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously it's a business at the end of the day, so your sponsor has got to have something to invest in and make it worthwhile for them, and it's not really worthwhile unless we're getting more media coverage, which we are doing year on year, and it's improving year on year. And I think for market value, that, you know, the British women that we have available at the moment to a sponsor, I think we could give somebody a good investment.
Lizzie, we were always told that this Olympics was about legacy. What would you like to see as the main legacy from your success?
I think in terms of cycling, it's really important that there's a positive attitude now towards cyclists on the road. I think I've already experienced that in the last 2 weeks that I've been training. My homecoming event had 200 cyclists riding behind the open-top bus, which is something you wouldn't have been able to pull together 2 years ago. So I think it's a growing sport in this country, and I think everyone's very positive and enthusiastic about it. But in terms of just a general legacy, to get young people involved in sport and be outside and, you know, see positive role models rather than sort of reality TV stars, I guess.
Well, you girls have certainly done your part. We'll be chatting to you again in just a few minutes. Further evidence, I suppose, of the amazing British cycling revolution this weekend, by the fact that Lucy Garner is the new European Junior Women's Road Race Champion, and the fact that a Briton is one of the favourites to win the Vuelta a España, the last Grand Tour of the year. Chris Froome, of course, with no Bradley Wiggins there, is the new Sky team leader. Will be interesting to see how he copes with that mantle. And earlier on, I was chatting to the Guardian's chief sports writer, Richard Williams, about Froome's chances. Well, Richard, the last Grand Tour of the year is underway. The big question from our point of view, I suppose, is can Chris Froome win it?
From what we saw during the Tour de France, Chris Froome can win a Grand Tour, and this might be the one, since the Vuelta is built for climbers this year particularly, and you know, we've seen Froome look like a real world-class, top-class climber. Just a couple of glimpses during the Tour, so yes, he can win it.
Yeah, his main rival, of course, obviously, the Alberto Contador. What do you think about the return of Contador after only 6 months?
Contador was very lucky in that his national federation backdated his ban by 18 months. They took he lost one of his Giros and one of his Tour de France wins, but he was out of action only for 6 months, which is not a very long time when you've been convicted of doping, and you know, some of us would like to have seen him serve a bit longer. But he's a very sympathetic character. He's a great rider to watch. He attacks a lot, which everybody likes and which we missed on the Tour de France. So, you know, he's come back, he's done the Eneco Tour, he came fourth in that. He looks as if he's in some kind of form, so we may see the head-to-head that everybody's been talking about.
Who do you think the route favours? It's very mountain heavy, isn't it? A lot of mountaintop finishes.
A lot. There are 10 mountaintop finishes during the race, which makes it pretty much a cert for the climbers. And there are some marvellous climbers in the field, of course. There's Valverde and Jezink and several others. So I think, you know, the attacks on Froome won't be coming from only one direction from Contador. I think he'll have quite a lot to watch out for.
Yeah, and the Vuelta has a history of throwing up surprise winners, stage winners and GC winners. Why is that?
partly because it comes at the end of the season, I think, and you know, those who've done well in the Giro and the Tour feel, well, I've done my bit, and that leaves it a little bit more open for other riders to come through. Last year it was Juan Jose Cobo. I doubt that there's going to be as big a surprise this year. There seems to be more focus on the Vuelta this year, and I think the big names will be really going for it.
Speaking of focus, I mean, I presume that Saxo Bank have been biding their time for Alberto Contador to come back, so perhaps the focus of their season has been the Vuelta, whereas for Sky, there's been just so much going on, both for Team Sky and Team GB, of course. So is it possible that maybe Sky haven't been able to build up to this as they would have liked, and perhaps then Saxo Bank have the advantage?
Well, that may be true. Sky would say that they're capable of covering all the bases, and this is just another base that they've worked out, and they have. You know, it's a good team that Froome's got around him. A lot of good riders. Contador, though, has got his lieutenants, the guys that we're used to seeing him with. You know, he's got Naval and Navarro and Hernandez and Paulinho. So he's not going to be short of help in the mountains if he needs it.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that will be interesting is the balance between being fresh and being battle-hardened. I mean, obviously Chris Froome is battle-hardened after what he's come through this season, whereas Contador will be fresh. How much of an influence do you think the balance of those two positions will be?
That's awfully hard to read in advance. You know, it's like a rider never really knows how his legs are going to be until, you know, he starts a stage in the morning. We'll see. I think Froome will have kept enough back for this. You know, he knows that this is his big day. It's his chance for a big statement. Whatever he plans to do in the future, whether he's going to stay with Sky or try for a move, this is his chance to make his mark.
A lot of the Vuelta is in the Basque Country, certainly in the initial few days. Richard, give us a sense of what that area is like. I mean, they just love cycling up there.
Yeah, and they were deprived of it for 30 years, essentially. They were deprived of the Vuelta because of all the problems with separatists and so on. And the Vuelta went back there last year, and it's there again this year. And for the days that the race is in the Basque Country, the world will turn orange, which is, you know, their colour. And they are crazy fans. The Vuelta this year is all about northern Spain. It starts in Galicia, goes to Asturias, Basque Country, Catalonia, and then Madrid is actually the southerly point of the race, you see, this year. But you can't help thinking the Basque Country will be a real focal point.
Yeah, just finally, who's your money on?
Oh, well, there are several strong contenders. Obviously Contador, Valverde, but Froome can do it. He's got a good team around him.
Well, Lizzie, you know Chris. Do you think he can do it?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Vuelta this year, with it being particularly hilly, is perfectly suited to him. He showed in the Tour that he's by far the best climber. Obviously, there's the Contador issue, so we'll see how he fares against him. But yeah, every confidence in him. You
were mentioning it. You'd like to get into road racing, Danny. Why?
Just seeing the success of all the British girls, really, obviously, including Lizzie. It's been absolutely amazing. It has been an inspiration. We have to do a lot of road training for the track. We do Mallorca camps, and I do, you know, have race on the road, and I really enjoy it. So, you know, it's part of the sport I love. So why not give it a go?
How would the training programs differ between, you know, a track program and a road program?
I'd have to do a lot more hours on the road because obviously a lot of my time's taken up on the track and in the gym as well. So I'd have to, do a lot more endurance training for that base because obviously the road races are that much longer. I'll have to work on my climbing as well because that's definitely a weakness of mine. But yeah, the World Championships are in February, so obviously that's very early season, so I could potentially have a full road season next year, so something I'm quite excited about.
Yeah, watch the space, and as we were saying, maybe that's the kind of thing you need new goals, don't you, because you've conquered everything this year in the track.
Yeah, exactly, it's something else to focus on, so yeah, it'll be exciting.
Yeah, and road racing, what is it about the sort of team aspects and dynamics that you enjoy, Lizzie? I
just enjoy being part of, you know, a multicultural team. Everyone's from all over Europe. We've got an American on the team as well, and I just enjoy the different aspects of it. The travel for me is the main part that I love, and being outside really. Yeah.
And of course you live on the Côte d'Azur. That's a pretty big plus too, I imagine, is it?
Yeah, I'm very lucky to be based there. It's a fantastic place to ride your bike. It's very hilly, so it's hard work, but it makes you stronger.
Speaking of the team dynamics, Danny, that was obviously something that was very apparent, and you know all three of you had come through fairly tough times, and you do rely on each other, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. You know, we're like sisters. We spend so much time together off and on the track. So yeah, it's really good that we can help each other. You know, go through ups and downs in training all the time. We've all gone through illnesses and injury along the way, so it's been really good to have each other. I think that's what makes it so special when you do well and have success in a team. It almost means more. So yeah, it's great to have gone through the journey with them, and it's been a really good one, and we finished on a major high. So
you certainly did. Well, that's it for part one. Join us again in a few minutes when Rob Hales will be road testing a selection of fold-up bikes currently available. See you in a few minutes. Welcome back to the Cycle Show. Last week we were looking at the best ways of getting from A to B around towns and cities. This week we're looking at the commuter bikes themselves. Rob Hales has been out assessing the best fold-up bikes or collapsible cycles on the market.
Ah, the rough and tumble of the daily commute. It can be a real grind trying to get from A to B, particularly in crammed and crowded city streets. My top tip to avoid having your nose squashed into someone else's armpit on the tube: get yourself a fold-up bike. There's a huge number to choose from these days, so I thought I'd take to the road and try out 3 of the options out there.
So here we have the 3 commuter bikes we're going to be road testing today. All British designed, all slightly different in their own way. I've never ridden them before, so I'm looking forward to getting my hands on them. I'm going to start off with the Molten. Right, here we have the Molten TSR2. Quite a funky design. It's an old design. Integrated into the rear hub are 2 gears. So you just kick back and you get the smaller gear. Kick back again to get the bigger gear. We have a belt drive, not the normal chain. And this enables the bike not to need lubrication, and apparently the belt will last 10 times longer than a normal chain. It's not quite as responsive as I was expecting, especially out of the saddle for me. It feels a little bit unstable. The Molten also has the added benefit of front and rear suspension. A very old design, very good, extremely comfortable, especially around town. It's a fantastic piece of kit. This bike, out of all of them, feels like the position is about right for me, especially a bigger rider like myself. What I do like with the Brompton, it comes with its own clamp on the front ready for a rack. It comes with a light on the rear already built in, and its own pump. That's nice touches, I think. It's really comfortable to ride, and even with the suspension on the rear, it feels rigid, but it doesn't feel bouncy at all out of the saddle. I really like this bike. I didn't think I would, but I do. This is the Mezzo D10. It's a non-hinged frame, so all the folding is done around the forks, the handlebars, and the back end of the bike. One thing I really like about this bike is it's built around standard components. If you fancied pimping this bike, you could do it to your heart's content. It's extremely stable, very comfortable. But out of the saddle, it's just a little bit wayward, a little bit wobbly. But that would be my only gripe. You could quite happily ride this bike anywhere all day long, provided your legs could cope.
So those were the opinions of former Olympian Rob Hales. What do current Olympians like Danny King think about fold-up bikes?
I think they're really cool. You know, they're a great way to commute on, you know, in busy cities when you've got to travel on tubes and things like that. So yeah, I think they're really cool. I haven't actually ridden one myself, but I'd like to.
It sounds like a marketing dream, but you guys actually do commute on your bikes, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We live quite locally, so it's about a 20-minute commute from where we're living to the track. So yeah, we do that at most sessions.
And presumably it takes you a lot longer going home because you're knackered?
Yeah, definitely. We go a lot slower on the way back.
Obviously you're aware then of the perils of commuting. Have you had any near misses? Obviously people that are driving don't know that you're a current Olympic champion now.
Yeah, we do have a few near misses, so you know, hopefully the Olympics will change that attitude on the road. But no, yeah, we're quite lucky. There's a cycle lane which goes from the track to where we live, so that's really great.
Are you pretty confident you've got to grips with these bikes now?
Yeah, I am.
Do you reckon you can build one within 30 seconds?
I'll go for it. I'll give it a go.
Okay, we'll let you go and practice, and we'll catch up with Jules Walker, who's outside with our cycle team of the week.
Thanks, Graham. This week we're joined by Cycling Buddy, who are our group of the week, and we have Tony Piedel and Pete Plowman from the group. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Now, can you tell me a bit about the concept of Cycling Buddy?
Sure. Cycling Buddy is a totally free online community that, in a very basic format, helps members find other members to go cycling with. It's open to everybody, all abilities, all tastes of cycling, if you like, from your mountain biker to your road cyclist, and all levels of ability in between, whether you're starting out or already a super athlete.
And how many members do you have already? Because you're 4 months old, so you're still in quite early stages with the group, but I get the feeling there's quite a buzz around you already.
There is. You know, we've seen the success of cycling, and it's all been building up to this point. And already we have over 5,000 members registered on the site. And I guess more importantly, there's over 270,000 miles that have been logged.
When you're talking about logging the miles that all the cyclists do, there's something on your website as well about the 1 million mile challenge on there as well. So you're trying to encourage to at least clock up 1 million miles on the site.
There is. You know, one of the things that we talk about in the behind the scenes, if you like, is that we stop bikes from rusting. So we want them out on the road being used by somebody. And the way to motivate those people is to give them goals. And so we have a number of goals. We want to try and reach 1 million miles. We haven't set a date or a time frame, but that sounds like a really nice number to go for.
And what would a new member expect when they register with the site, like the benefits of it?
As soon as you're in a logged-in environment, you're immediately presented with a number of buddies that live around your area. And you can see some basic information on them, send them an email, request them as a buddy or as a friend, and it's up to you how much you get engaged in the community. And then you've got a number of other tools that you can have. You know, you can log your rides, you can plan out your maps, use the maps to plan a route, and so on. And all of those facilities are there just to get you back into cycling as quickly as possible.
So Pete, you're one of the members of the Cycling Buddy group. How long have you been with them for?
I actually joined the site on its actual launch day. It just coincided with the fact that I was looking for someone to record my miles when I was in preparation for a big cycle ride of my own.
And how have you been finding the experience so far?
It's been absolutely amazing because I've been in communication with lots of people that live locally, even though I haven't actually been out on any rides with them yet, but that will be happening shortly, I'm sure. And really, it's given me lots of encouragement to get out there more on my bike because I want to get home to log my miles.
And you're finding that it's a bit more motivation there as well to keep on cycling?
Definitely, because I wasn't a cyclist this time last year, and Cycling Buddy has got me riding and kept me riding.
Thank you both very much for joining us this week. And for further information on the Cycling Buddy group, you can have a look at the Cycle Show Facebook page or have a look at our Twitter stream as well.
Okay, Danny King is poised in the fold-up bike challenge. Danny, you've got 30 seconds. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
30 seconds to assemble, starting from now. Handlebars first. Little delicate twist. Little delicate twist the other way. There's 10 seconds gone already. Saddle right up. She's a tall girl. Can you get the wheels out? That's 20 seconds. Coming up now. Pressure's on. 10 to go. Olympic gold medalist, Danny King. Congratulations. 25 seconds. See, that's how easy it is. Brilliant. Thank you very much. That's it for part 2. Join us again in part 3 when Anna Glowinski will be smashing her way through a game of bike polo. Welcome back to the Cycle Show. Now, we've been banging on here for quite a few weeks about how cycling is suddenly cool, and for further evidence of that, check out Exhibit A. Our next guest is TV presenter, fashion designer and businessman Jeff Banks, an avid cyclist, Jeff Banks.
Yeah.
How are you, Jeff? Clearly all is not well, unless that's some very strange new fashion trend.
No, a dodgy leg. I was at the time trial at the Tour in Liège, and I mistakenly got onto the course, and the commissar said, get off. So I went to clamber over the fence and got my heels stuck in the fence, and a Belgian guy gave me a yank to pull me over, trying to be helpful, and it tore the ligament. So, yeah, really painful.
And you're not just an armchair fan, we should say. Obviously, I mean, you do a lot of cycling in your own right as well, Jeff.
Yeah,
you did before this.
Well, I started racing when I was 12 for like London schoolboys. So, and then I got my first junior license when I was 16, and I raced for the Catford for about 4 years, and went up to a sort of Cat 1 rider when I was with the Catford, and then found girls. I discovered girls, and that is the ruination of any good cyclist. It's like if you have anything to do with girls' teams, it can bring you down. It's like. So that ruined racing career, but I've carried on cycling. So I've ride sportifs now. I'd ride a 1,000-mile ride once a year, like a biggie from London to Lake Como, or the length of Italy, or cross Spain, or I've done 10 stages of the Tour. And I just did the end-to-end again for the third time 6 weeks ago. So just before this, I did John O'Groats to Land's End, yeah. So I still ride a bit.
Do you ever think of getting involved in designing some clothes for the girls, some tracksuits?
Well, it's funny, Grant at Condor keeps on at me about why don't I actually, apply my skills. And I was just saying to Lizzie when we were off screen, I'd love to do it, and I'd love to do a very sort of like professional range of kit, but it's no good unless the technology is right, and especially in girls' kit, it needs to be absolutely spot on, because they've got a few lumps and bumps that men haven't got. So you kind of need to get it absolutely right, and I haven't succeeded in finding the right manufacturer yet that could really produce the quality that I'd like to produce and that Grant would like to produce. So I haven't done that. Jerry has asked me to redesign Orica's kit for next year, so I might have a go at that. And then I'm sponsoring a junior team, Catford Cycling Club Equipe, as it's known, which is a junior race team for the next 3 years. So I'm going to design their kit, and Maria Santini is making that for me. But if I did the thing with Grant, I'd really want to make it a bit special. Yeah.
But Lizzie, that was a fair point, isn't it? Cycling is pretty cool now, and it's cool for women to be involved in sport as well. And again, that's maybe part of your responsibilities, to, given the role model image that you girls have.
Yeah, I think when I first started cycling, I was the girl doing the weirdo sport, and people sort of made fun of me. But now everyone's getting, involved and saying how cool it is and wanting to know more about it.
I think where the girls can actually get more involved, given their not just national status now, but international status, which I think is amazing, and all congratulations to you. I just think we need to get more teams sponsoring women's teams, because to my knowledge, there's only 2 that do it. So I think the horizon becomes very limited, whereas I think as a sport for women, I think it's actually better than running. Because aerobically it's less impactive. I think it's a very stylish sport. I think it's something that women can do really well. And it's just a pity that more of the teams, like Sky for instance, with all of, Dave Brailsford's commitment on the track, that he hasn't managed to persuade Sky to actually kind of start looking at a women's team, which I think would then make others like Rabobank, well, Rabobank have got one, but I think, there would be others that would do it, and I think that would be an enormous benefit to women if there were more international races of the calibre that the men have, that women had much more to go at.
Would you be supportive of a ladies' team, Sky?
Yeah, that's perfect.
But these guys are great role models for it, and, if I was a a sponsor with enough money. I mean, I'm just dabbling around with a little sort of like captain cycling club team, because I know Lizzie's going to say to me, "Why don't you?"
Yeah, Lizzie's going to expect a check for it,
yeah,
Jeff.
if you've got, you know, the spare 6 million knocking around anywhere, guys.
Women's team, 450k, if you can afford that.
She's worked it out already. It's
You
like,
need to put the hard word on here. Tells you have to get his checkbook out.
That's all it costs.
yeah. You see, she's absolutely there on the button. But there must be a lot of companies that would get enormous benefit from having guys like these riding a pro team for them. I think, like makeup companies, the amount of money that makeup companies pay supermodels, you know, why is it they don't pay super sportswomen? Because they're great brand, you know, role models. So I think we'll see a change that they've effected as a result of their Olympic status now. It's brilliant. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, certainly, let's hope so. Thanks to Jeff. Now it's cycling trivia time, and do you have any idea who won the first Olympic bike polo event? And yes, cycle polo used to be in the Olympics, and the first winners were actually Ireland. Bizarrely, the game was invented by an Irishman. We sent Anna Glowinski to find out where and how and why it's still played.
I'm here in Hackney Downs today to try and learn a little bit more about a sport that's not officially a sport.
3, 2, 1, polo!
Other than a mallet and a ball, bike polo couldn't be further removed from the sport of kings. A distinctly urban pastime, no pucker chaps, no pims, and it's definitely not Ascot. Invented in the late 19th century, it fizzled out with the outbreak of the Second World War, before its renaissance in the late 90s.
Bike polo, as you can see behind us, there's teams consisting of 3 players. They each joust from the back line for the ball that's in the middle, and then the idea is basically to use the small end of your mallet to hit the ball into the goal.
What are the rules? How do you actually play polo?
Okay, so can't touch the floor. If you do touch the floor, you have to tap back in at halfway, at either side, and then you're back in the game. If you use the broad side of your mallet, that's called a shuffle, and that's fine for passing or dribbling the ball, but you have to shoot with the small end. You can't ride into other people, that's called a T-bone.
Okay.
So generally try and keep your head up and try and be aware of where everyone else is riding.
Why is bike polo not actually considered a sport?
There's around 300 players in the UK, and until we reach around 1,000 players, we won't be recognised as a sport. So we have an association, but it's just a case of sporting them saying, yes, now you're a sport.
I was kind of wanting to get into either track cycling or something else, and kind of polo came along, had a go. I scored an own goal, crashed a lot, and I was pretty much hooked.
The social aspect is awesome. I mean, everyone is so tight. There are parties and fundraisers and tournaments, so everyone kind of gets involved, which is really good.
It's blowing up, and it's something I'm excited to be a part of, whether it means in a century it's an Olympic sport or it never is. It doesn't matter. It's just something that really makes me happy.
Well, the rules sound simple enough, but some of the skills might take a bit of practice before I'm unleashed on the court.
Right, Anna, let's get you going. We're going to do a few bike handling skills, because we're going to ride down and ride back, just one-handed. Okay. Just get a nice feel for the bike. You happy with that?
Yep.
All right, great. Let's go. Okay. That's it. Stay one-handed. Lovely. And then pedal back up, just to feel that tension through that left arm, and brake. Brilliant, well done, okay. So the next thing we need to do is obviously introduce the ball. You want to be trapping that ball with the end of your mallet and pushing it backwards and forwards, just to get a little bit of control. I'll take it down, you follow me and pick it up. If I leave it for you, that's it, you pick it up. There you go, give it a push, and now chase it, chase it, chase it.
All the basic things that you just do when you ride a bike, I've just forgotten.
That's it, now push it in front of you. And then hit it. Great, well done.
Now that I've been taught everything, I'm just padding up and getting stuck in the game. So much skill to be learnt in bike polo. I'm not going to pick it up in one day, and these guys have been practicing for years and they are so skillful. For full details on how to get involved and where to play, visit the Cycle Show's Twitter and Facebook pages.
Well, it looks like a lot of fun. You fancy giving that a go whenever you retire?
Maybe, never say never. It looks a bit rough to me.
How did you all get started in bikes? How did you start off, Dani?
I was a swimmer and runner before I started cycling, and the British Cycling Talent Team sort of scout program came to my school and basically asked us if any of us wanted to try out for the talent team. And I did it basically just to get out of a lesson at the time, and managed to do quite well, beat all the boys, and just worked my way up from there, really. Started racing, absolutely loved it, and yeah, that was it.
And the rest is history.
Exactly.
It's still being written, of course, the history. You're only 21. Yeah. And Lizzie, how did you start?
Exactly the same way.
Really?
Yeah, the talent team program came to school, gave us a go on bikes on the school playing field, and that was how I started. It's
been enormously successful, and that talent team program, that didn't exist whenever you started off, Jeff.
No, my dad raced before the war, so he was always came second to a guy called Frank Southall, who was the national 50-mile champion, and my dad always came number 2 to Frank. And then when I was 8, my father left my mother, and I never saw him again for about 8-9 years, except on my 11th birthday, he turned up at our house in Catford with a spanking brand new Fellman Mondial French racing bike, and left it on the doorstep with a note, happy birthday, and that was it. So, no dad, but I've got a bike, so hey-ho, who cares? So that's how I started cycling. And he popped up again when I was 16. And
really?
Yeah. And then we got on great after that, and him and my mother got back together again.
Really?
Yeah. So he was there. I raced schoolboys without him, but at my very first race, the Kentish Wheelers novices time trial, he was my hold man at the start, which was a great buzz for me, that he got me going and he was there at that race. So yeah, it was nice.
And you were telling me earlier, how long have you been a member of the Catford Club?
I've been a member for 57 years. So I'm probably one of their oldest members, I would think.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's great for me to sponsor the junior team now. And it's actually, it's what Seb Coe was going on about, was like the legacy of London. And for me, it's costing me about 10 grand a year. And I figured, do I need a new car? No. I'm better off sponsoring a junior team with that money. And I just really say to people all over the country, like MDs of small businesses, don't buy another company car. Invest in a local cycling club, local swimming club, local athletics club. Give young people the opportunity to get started and get them on their way. And for 10 grand a year, you can actually, fund the money to maybe buy a van, enter races, put some money into equipment. So I would just really say to a lot of other companies that are maybe watching this, why don't you give it a go? Because the cost of joining is not that expensive. Unlike Lizzie that wants me to trump up $500,000 a year, but she doesn't mess about. I mean,
if you're going to do it properly.
Yeah, I'm just dabbling at the moment, Lizzie, but I'll remember.
Great to talk to you, Jeff. You're an inspiration. We'll hear more from you again in a minute. Now, Rob Hales has been a very busy man recently, as well as assessing fold-up bikes. We got him to race one against a penny farthing. That's coming up when we come back. Welcome back to the Cycle Show. Jeff Banks, Lizzie Armitstead and Dani King are our guests. Future plans, Dani, what's next for you?
Well, I've still got a bit more of my break to enjoy, and then I'll be getting back on my bike, potentially Glasgow World Cup, and then the Worlds will be a main sort of target for me, which are in February.
And then you'll be talking to someone about maybe looking at some road cycling.
Yeah, that should be good. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And Lizzie, you haven't really had a break, have you?
No, I've got the World Championships in 5.5 weeks, so my break will come after that, after the end of the road season.
Lizzie, very best for the World Championships and all the other rest of the racing for the season. Good to see you too. I know you two have to head off. Dani, you're not so lucky. You're involved in our famous Cycle Show Sprint Challenge. We are very competitive animals here at the Cycle Show. There's nothing we like more than a race, especially an uneven one, which is why we sent Rob Hales on his tiny fold-up bike to take on one of the biggest bike models ever built.
So, I've given you my thoughts on what I feel is the best all-round commuter bike. But I'm here in a South London velodrome to test out sheer speed. And for that, I'm going to be using the Mezzo. And I'm pitting myself against the biggest wheel in town.
Joe,
Hi, Rob.
How are you doing?
Not bad, how are you?
Good to meet you. Now, this is one hell of a machine.
Thank you.
So how long have you been riding this?
Probably about 10 years now.
10 years. What's the furthest you've ridden?
I guess that would be around the world.
Okay, and how long did that take you?
That was about 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Well, I've got a challenge for you. I don't think it'll take quite 2.5 years. This is the bike I'm going to be racing, the Mezzo commuter bike. I'm going to ring the bell, and you've got 3 laps to get round. In the meantime, I've got to build this bike from scratch and do 3 laps and try and beat you.
Fantastic, you've got a race.
Ready? Well, the light's starting to go, but hopefully we should get this race finished by the time it's dark. I think the big wheel's starting to get to him, starting to drain his legs. Can't lose this one. Come on, Rob. You can do this. Starting to get him now, though. We're reeling him in. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. Last lap. Oh, he's killing me. Really slowing him down now. Oh, I've got him in the sights. I've got him in the sights. I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him. No. Oh. 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 Oh, Joe. Congratulations there on pipping me.
Thank you.
To a mighty fine win. Half a wheel in it, I think.
Very close, very close.
Looks like I'm buying the beers then.
That's what I like to hear.
Couldn't lend us a fiver, could you?
Oh, sorry. Put your wallet on.
I'll see what I can do. Congratulations.
Cheers, mate.
Well done, Joe. See you at the bar.
Yeah, I'll race you.
And the victorious Geoff Summerfield is with me now. Geoff, you must be pretty pleased with that, beating a former Olympian. People are probably surprised at the speed that penny farthings can get up to.
Well, these were the first racing bicycles, and people expect to see them in parades, but these are racing bikes, essentially.
And you actually have a bike computer on yours, don't you?
I do, yeah. I like my stats, so I like to know how fast I'm going and how slow I'm going and how far I've been.
What's the fastest speed you've got up to in one of these?
The fastest me is going down through Greenwich Park on the hill with my legs on the bars, and that's about 35 miles an hour.
Wow, 35 miles an hour sitting up that height.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shaking thing and an accident waiting to happen, but I didn't fall off that day.
Have you had a lot of accidents?
Yeah, quite a few. Sort of fractured elbows and elbows, wrists and knees normally. That's normally what I do.
Doesn't seem to bother you?
No, it hurts at the time, but you get over it.
Yeah. The race against Rob aside, your biggest challenge has got to be the circumnavigation of the world. You know, that certainly is a marathon, not a sprint. Tell us about that.
Oh, well, it's just an adventure. It's about getting out there, seeing the world, and seeing it for yourself, the reality of it, and getting out there in the mountains, in the deserts, hot, cold. It's all about adventure, and to do it on one of these bicycles makes it all much better.
You could have done it on a plane.
You could have done, yeah, you could, but it's not the same. It's not the same. To do it on this, it makes it that much more special. It makes it more of a challenge, but it makes it more adventurous, I suppose.
Where did the inspiration come from?
Well, I mean, sort of the penny farthing hero is a guy called Thomas Stevens. He was the first person ever to cycle around the world between 1884 and 1887, and he did it on a penny farthing. So I went to his grave when I left, and I took a little rock from his grave, and I carried that with me. When I came back, I revisited his grave and left the rock there. Wow. So he's the ultimate penny rider.
Geoff, great to meet you. You're a true pioneer in the history of eccentric British adventurers and travellers. I wonder how well, though, your odyssey around the world and the penny farthing has prepared you for the famous Cycle Show Sprint Challenge, because that's next. Geoff Summerfield versus Danny King.
Riders, are you ready? And they're off their way. And they're off under 50 metres. It's absolutely neck and neck. Tied at 100 metres. It looks like Graham on the blue bike. He's sprinting with 100 on the blue, 150 on the red, 75 on the blue, 100 on the...
I didn't know the time. So Keelan Phillips is still the man to beat. Let's see what Danny and Joff can produce. Over to you, Jake.
Okay, Danny on the red, Joff on the blue. On my mark. 3, 2, 1. Go, 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 go! Go speed as fast as you can. Keep sprinting with 100 gone. Joff's in the lead on the blue. The red's just behind. With 200 gone, Joff still just leading. It's about a 5-metre gap halfway. Sprint, sprint, sprint. With 200 to go, the blue's still just leading, but the red could catch up with 150 to go. It's 100 to go, riders. You've got 75, 50, 25, and it's going to be a win on the blue. A very quick time, ease down.
Oh, what a surprise. Joff, the penny farthing expert, on a slightly smaller bike, sets a superb time, 23.73 into third place on the board. Thank you very much. And a great effort, Joff. Danny, good to see you. Thank you very much. 23.95, not bad at all for an Olympic gold medalist. Brilliant. Join us again next week. We have world champions galore. We have G. Atherton and we have Stephen Roach, the former road cyclist, here on the show. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Tomorrow night at 10, Mila Jovovich stars in sci-fi action thriller Resident Evil, trying to take down a serious virus and a load of zombies. But next tonight, Jeff Bridges is paid to deliver a massive ransom in The Big Lebowski on ITV4.
My dust, but it's already set.